Hello, fiends, friends, and familiars. This is Matt Orozco here from Macabre Daily, and I am joined today by Keith Boynton, who is the writer and director behind the upcoming film The Haunted Forest, which is premiering. And Keith, you can correct me if I have this wrong. It's on the 23rd of August. Is that correct?
Yep, this Saturday.
Yep.
Yeah.
Excellent. This Saturday at FrightFest. So, Keith, first, congratulations on having your
Thank you.
film at FrightFest, and also for, thank you again for spending some time with me.
No, thank you. It's a pleasure. No, I'm looking forward to talking about it. We're really excited about this premiere.
Yeah, I would be if I were you. So it's a huge accomplishment to kind of go to one of the premier genre festivals in the world. And I know we don't have all the time to get into all the details, but my first question for you is a pretty basic one. Just thinking about your inspirations and the background behind coming up for the idea for the Haunted Forest.
Yeah. Well, in this case, the answer is super concrete. So the location was the inspiration. So Markov's Haunted Forest is a real place in Maryland. It's been there for well over 30 years at this point. It's kind of a local institution, and it happens to be run by some people who are cousins of mine, the Markovs. And I hadn't been until adulthood. Like, I don't know how I missed it when I was growing up, but maybe I was too scared. I don't know, but I missed it. So I sort of heard rumors they were doing this thing in the woods in Maryland, and it sounded, cool, weird, whatever. And then I finally saw it. Like, I think it was 2016. So I'm like a full grown adult by this point, and I was just blown away. I was just amazed by how beautiful, how elaborate it was. They built this thing basically by themselves in the woods in Maryland, and it's like an absolute carnival. It's an absolute festival of horror. Thousands of people coming through every night, the food and the games and the trail and the scares, and it's just like an absolute world unto itself. So I was there with my brother, and I think he was the one who turned to me and was like, "You have to make a movie here. You have to make a movie here." And then he immediately started like generating story ideas, and I got to give him most of the credit, honestly, because sure, I'm the one who actually wrote the script and pulled together the team and like made the movie, but the idea came from him, and the original story outline came from him, and he consulted extensively on the screenplay, both at the outline stage and the draft stage. And so, in a way, what you see on screen is like my brother's vision, just filtered through with someone who actually, makes films.
Well, I was going to say, give yourself some credit as well, because while, ideas, they say ideas are cheap and easy, it's the execution that's the hard part. But I think between you and your brother, it sounds like you've got a pretty good kind of, pairing of vision and execution. And,
It worked out.
I'm glad to hear about Markov's Haunted Forest now because it sounds like a place I need to check out. So
Yes.
much of what I think, folks will enjoy about the Haunted Forest is how well you do a good job of setting the scene, not just by making it feel like a fall film, but also knowing that this is a real place that people can actually go to. I think
Yeah.
even instills a lot more excitement. It seems even a little autobiographical with the connection to the cousin relationship with the film and also with your relationship to the Markovs. So, I guess it begs the next question is like, have you ever worked as a scare actor before or anything like that?
I have not. I have not. I should be honest about this. I'm an outsider to this world. I'm largely an outsider to the horror world, and I probably shouldn't admit that. But this is my
Oh
first
no,
horror. I've
The
been making
water's
films for
warm.
like, yeah. I mean, it seems like it's an incredibly welcoming community. So I'm sort of, I don't know. I guess I'm on the outside looking in some ways. I love movies like Scream, and I was really inspired by that. But in some ways, I feel like I'm still sort of learning the lingo and learning the community. And one of the things that strikes me most is just how incredibly like warm and open-hearted horror fans are. I mean, already we haven't even had our premiere, but already like the support behind this film it's been phenomenal. It's really something.
I think it's one of those interesting ironies of life is that, we have these assumptions about people that watch horror movies that maybe they're kind of antisocial or, somewhat, loners in some extent. And I don't think any of that, there might be some overlap in those things, but for the most part, every single horror fan I've ever met has been usually a pretty nice person, and not much like nothing like the films that they tend to enjoy. So I do,
Yeah.
it's nice to hear that the community has been not just receptive, but also that, as you're getting more familiar with it, you feel welcome by it.
Oh,
Um,
totally.
a-
Yeah.
and, did you have a chance to do any research with some of the folks that worked at Markov's to kind of inform some of the performances? Because again, there's such a good, I think the authenticity of the experience of going to a haunt and, being a scare actor is really well displayed on the film. So did you get a chance to speak with anyone who works on site and kind of pick their brain a bit?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of that developed as we were getting into pre-production and even production, because we're there on site by that point. You know, most of the team came from elsewhere and sort of gathered together for the shoot. So at the writing stage, I was sort of mostly going off my memory of the trail, which was imperfect, and sort of pretty aware that I was going to be able to adjust things as we went on. And so even, you know, the second or third week of shooting, we're still talking about like, hey, this scene was written for this part of the trail, but maybe it would look great on this part of the trail, or maybe it would just be easier if this scene took place over here instead of over here. You know, we're always having those conversations, and we got to know the people who work there really well. They were all, you know, incredibly useful and helpful because we didn't just shoot at that location, but we got to use their staff, we got to use their resources. You know,
Wow.
they did a lot of the makeup and the practical effects for us. So it was a real team effort. It was a real collaboration with Markov's on it for us, and it felt like by the end we definitely knew, you know, a lot more about how things worked there than at the beginning. At the beginning, we were sort of feeling it out as we went along, but that was part of the fun too. Was sort of
Yeah.
suddenly being a little bit like the main character. We get suddenly thrust into the situation, and you figure it out. You know, you make the best of it. And luckily, people were helpful.
I mean, that's such a nice thing to hear because one, again, especially when you get a chance to kind of work with people that are doing the actual haunting itself, that kind of, I think, adds to that authenticity you've established. But also, I'm curious to know, was it set up in such a way where it was easy for you all to film, or did you have to make adjustments to the layout in order to be able to fit cameras into certain spaces or get the kind of shots you were looking for?
We didn't really change the spaces very much at all. I mean, occasionally something had to be moved here or there,
Sure.
but we did reimagine the layout of the trail a certain amount. There are things like adding a jet of fire in a place where there wasn't a jet of fire. We did do that. When I say we did that, like the haunted forest staff did that. They have a guy. They have a fire
Yeah.
guy
A fire
who
guy
was
that does these
great.
things.
Yeah, he literally came in for like a 2 hour block and he was like, jet of fire, that's my job. And then he was done with the jet of fire and then he left. But yeah, most of what we did was just sort of reimagining the shape of the trail just for storytelling purposes. So it'd be
Sure.
like, okay, in real life, the trail goes from this spot to this spot to this spot. But in the movie, and then we had to keep it consistent or at least try to keep it consistent. So we had like an imaginary trail in our brains and then we had the real trail in real life. And maybe in some ways we made it harder on ourselves than we needed to. But it was mostly that kind of thing, just sort of taking the space that's available. And most filmmaking is like this, right? Where,
Right.
especially on this budget level, you're not going to knock down a wall, right? But you might pretend that wall's not there, right? You might
Yeah.
shoot in such a way that that wall never appears on camera. And if you don't see it, then it doesn't exist. There's a lot of that that goes on.
Yeah, I mean, it's also nice that you had the space to be able to do this in, right? Kind of because it probably helped with the cost of things to not have to build every single set piece and have to kind of get all these things in place.
Oh my
But
God, I can't even imagine. If we
yeah,
had to
you'd have
build
to.
all this, I can't even imagine. It would
Well,
our budget would have doubled.
it's a testament to them, right? That they do this and kind of maintain this annually. So I think that I think so much of what people appreciate about going to a haunt is that part of it is, the process or the experience of being scared, but the other is you really get a chance to see people's talents on display in regards to how they build and how they kind of create these environments that are intended to terrify, but are often just kind of things you don't, at least as a horror fan, I just want to kind of walk around and look at, almost like a museum. Um,
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, and I think the more you go, the less it becomes about being scared. Like the first time I walked
right.
down the trail, I was scared, especially the chainsaws. I was scared. But then the second time you do it, it's a little bit demystified. And then the third time you
Yeah.
do it, it's more demystified. And so it becomes more and more about the aesthetics
Yeah.
and also about that front circle area because it's not just the trail, but it's this, there's like three huge bonfires and there's concessions and there's like carnival games and it's a whole I don't know. There's a whole experience that you can have without even going on the trail, without even going on the ride, as it were. You can just hang out in that space. So the more I went, the more I was like, I just want to be here. I just want to be hanging by a bonfire. Maybe I have a beer. Maybe I have a burger, and everyone's in such a good mood. Everyone's so happy to be there. I mean, sort of relating to what we were saying about horror fans, they're just like they're the nicest people in the world. Sometimes it seems like they're the happiest people in the world. They're just like they know what they like.
Especially when we're in our when we're in our element, I think we are tend to be the happiest. And so if you put us in the middle of a haunt with things that we enjoy around us, good food, good drinks, and good people, then I think you've got a perfect combination. And my last question for you, Keith, is kind of a fun one, but it can be a little difficult. So take your time with it. But it is if you were asked to program a double feature with The Haunted Forest, what do you think would be a fun companion piece to watch alongside it?
Ooh, oh, that's a great question. Um, I should probably say a horror film, but I would love to watch this movie back to back with Adventureland
Oh, fun.
because it's kind of like a slasher Adventureland. So
Yeah.
I think that would be a fantastic double feature. I would absolutely sit down for that.
I would too. You could sign me up for a ticket for one of those because I think, it is the allure, or I guess the temptation to just defer to horror because that's the genre you're playing in. But I do think sometimes seeing non-genre pieces against genre film can create that nice juxtaposition of experience. So I'm with you. I think that'd be a great double feature there. And, Keith, I just want to say once again, it's been a pleasure to speak with you. I really appreciate your time. And I just want to remind everyone that's watching this that you're having your premiere at Fright Fest this Saturday, August 23rd. I hope you fill is it the 790 seat auditorium that this is playing in?
I think it's a smaller auditorium,
Uh,
but
Even still, I mean, these are pretty big auditoriums that they're playing in. So I hope you get a packed house, a bunch of people get to see this. And I hope you just get to bask in the joy of being around genre fans who are excited to see new films. So thank you for your time and looking forward to whatever you're doing next.
thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. Talk
My
soon.
pleasure, Keith. Take care.